This is Barry here, and you are very, very welcome to today's episode of the Passion to Profits podcast. Now, in today's podcast episode, I want to cover 10 mistakes that you could possibly be making in building a business around your passion. So what I would recommend is that you should grab a piece of paper and a pen and follow along with me in this episode and just ask yourself, honestly, how many of these mistakes are you making? Now, the first mistake that you could possibly be making is treating your passion business as a hobby or a pastime or a side hustle. You know, a lot of people I see who aren't successful building businesses around the passion, making money online or building any momentum is that they don't see it as a big deal. It's just something to do in the evenings, in the weekends, and it's no big thing. And it always surprises me that, we have people who will go to jobs that they detest, work with people that they hate, and dread every day getting out of bed, going to that place. And those people are more committed to doing something like that than going in the opposite direction and building a business around the passion. If they put as much effort in as to fighting through the traffic, being consistent, doing the same job over and over again, even though they don't hate it, you can imagine if they put all that effort into something that they love doing, how successful they would be. And most people won't do that. Most people will just go through the drudgery of a job that they hate the people that they work with, hate the boss, hate the work, and yet they'll do that every day for the rest of their life instead of trying to build a business around the passion. Now, if you want to build a business around your passion, if you want to make money online, if you want to build a huge social media following, that's going to take work. That's going to take commitment. That's going to take showing up on days that you don't want to do it. Now, would you do that for an offline job? You probably would. So if you put all that effort into an offline job, do you not think that maybe your passion business deserves as much attention, as much dedication? Of course it does. So what you need to do is you need to stop seeing what you're doing as a side hustle, as a hobby, as something that you do in the evenings and the weekends, and see it for what it will be. This will be a business. So if this is going to be a business, you need to mentally switch on here and see it as a business. That means showing up when you're tired. That means showing up when you don't want to do the work. That means showing up, getting outside your comfort zone. And that means showing up and being the best boss that you can on the worst employee that makes you sit down in the seat every day and do the work that you need to do. So that's the first mistake I see a lot of people making, is they don't treat what they do as a business. Another mistake I see people making is that they ignore the demand. I've seen, and I have a few people on my own list who will create products, who will create low content books and create websites and, all these different images for Etsy and all those different things. And they'll go ahead and they'll busily create all that stuff. They'll make all the images, they'll make all the books, and they have all this content on their hard drive that they could sell. Now, the only reason they can't sell it is because no one wants what they have. And what they're doing is they are putting the cart before the horse. They're creating the products, they're creating the images, they're creating all that stuff, but there's nobody to sell it to. And what you need to do is you need to flip it the other way. You need to look and see, well, what does the market demand? What do they want? And if they are looking for what you're creating, well, then there's a good chance you're going to sell it. But if they don't want what you're making, well, then you're wasting your time. You would be as well trying something else instead. So as I said here on a previous episode of this podcast, if you've got a passion business and you have a market over here, if you keep doing what you're doing and they keep doing what they're doing, there's going to be no money changing hands, because you need the money to come from here over to you, which means that you need to meet your marketplace at some point. And you need to find out, well, what problems, pain points, and difficulties do they have that you can help them with? Because you can be guaranteed that that's where the money is. If you solve someone's pain point, they're going to pay you for it. If you take away a problem that they have forever, again, they're going to pay you for it. So you need to be aware of what the market wants. Now, you might be brighter than the market and you're thinking to yourself, well, this is what they should be buying. But you can go ahead and create that. But if the market's not interested, the market's not interested. They say sometimes that the customer is always right. Now, sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. But the customer is always right in the case of you bringing a product to them that they don't want. So what you need to do is you need to see what they want, create what they want, and then sell it to them. So don't put the cart before the horse. Find out what the market demand is. What is the market looking for right now? And then see how you can provide a solution to that problem. Another thing, a mistake that I see people making when it comes to building a business around the passion, and this was a mistake that I made in the past, was undervaluing you and your work. You know, sometimes when we try and build a business around a passion, sometimes you don't have a lot of confidence in ourselves. Sometimes you don't have a lot of self-esteem. Sometimes we question, well, would anyone actually pay me money for something that I make? You know, when I think back to my fiction books, when I wrote the fiction books, I didn't think anyone would pay me money for an idea that was in my head that I put into a book. And it took me a while to get over that, to see that there was value in me. And again, when I created my first couple of digital products, I kept the price as low as possible. And the reason I kept the price low was because I had no confidence in myself. I didn't believe in myself. Now, I believed in the products that I created. I believed that the video courses I made did solve a problem. And if someone did buy that course, that problem would be gone forever. But I didn't see the value in me. And in some cases, I probably could have charged maybe $97 for a digital product or even more. And yet here was I going selling them maybe for $7 or $17. Now the customer was getting a bargain, but I wasn't making much money. And that is a big problem sometimes if you don't really believe in what you're doing. You know, you might know that you provide good work, but if you don't believe and if you have this kind of mental programming of accepting value for what you do, sometimes it's difficult to take money back from customers and things like that. And sometimes we, don't want to accept big paydays. So what you need to realize is if you want to make money in your passion business, you're going to need to up your prices. And by you actually increasing your prices, people are going to look at your products in a different way. You know, if your product was on sale in the dollar store, or if your product was a sale in maybe one of those high class shops in town, same product, but in two different places. The people in the dollar store who buy your product for $1 are going to see it that way. They're going to see that it's only valuable for $1. They're probably not going to pay attention to it. They're probably not going to worry too much about it. They're probably going to toss it away. But if your product was in like one of these high price stores, you can see the people who would buy that product would look at your product in a different way. They'd see it as being something of higher value because they paid more money from it. And again, it could be the same product. You know, I've seen it before where somebody took the contents of one wine bottle and put the wine into two different bottles, put two different labels on them, two different prices, and found that one would sell better than the other. Again, it was the same wine. There was no difference. And even when the people tasted the wine, they thought the more expensive wine tasted better because it was a higher price. So you need to think about how price is affecting your customer when they see your products. When they see a product that's going for a couple of dollars, do they think that, well, maybe this product isn't any good? Maybe this product isn't going to solve my problem. And if you increase your price, that customer would probably look at that product and say to themselves, well, going at that price, that person seems to know what they're talking about. And if they know what they're talking about, well, then this is probably going to be the product that's going to solve my money or solve my problem. So by upping your price, it's going to allow you to make more money. It's going to make you realize that there is a lot of value in you. And it's also going to make your customers look at what you do in a different way. So if you find that maybe you're undervaluing your work, or if you're giving stuff away for free, or you're just selling it for bargain basement prices, start putting up your prices straight away. You'll be glad that you did. I did it for a long time, keeping them low, and God, I wish I did go back in time, told the younger version of me, Barry, you should put up those prices because it's affecting you. Another thing you should do is, or another mistake I see a lot of people making, is not being consistent. Again, I think that is going to the first mistake of people not seeing their passion business as a business. And so they don't stay committed to it. They don't see it a big deal that, we'll make one video today, we'll do one at the end of the week and maybe one in a fortnight from now, and it's no big deal. But really, if you want to be successful, if you want to build momentum, it's going to take a lot of work in the beginning. It's like that snowball rolling down the hill. That little snowball is going to be rolling for a long, long time until it picks up speed, until it starts increasing in size, and then it just takes off on its own. So that's going to take commitment. That's going to take consistency. That's going to take you sitting your butt in the seat on days when you don't want to do it, recording the videos when you don't want to do it, writing the blog posts when you don't want to do it, recording the podcast episodes when you don't want to do it, but doing the work because you know it needs to be done. So again, you need to see what you do as an offline job that you hate. You would go in and do that job regardless if you had a headache, if you were tired, or if you hated the boss. You would still go in there to do that work. So you should treat your passion business the same way as well too. You should be consistent doing it every single day until the momentum kicks in, and then you can kind of ease off as the business kind of takes off. But in the beginning, it's going to take a lot of consistency. And again, if you're not going to be consistent, well then I think you should drop out now because you're wasting your time. Another mistake I see people making, and this was a mistake I used to make too, was doing it all alone. Or thinking that I needed to do everything. You know, in the beginning, I used to overwhelm myself. I would think, well, I need to write a blog post. I need to write a Facebook post. I need to put stuff on Twitter. I need to put stuff on Facebook. I need to do a podcast episode. I need to do this. And I had so many jobs that I needed to do in my head that I needed to do. And what I probably should have did is I probably should have scaled back to maybe only one or two things and simply focused on that. And I think sometimes what we do is we try to be a jack of all trades. We try to be great on Facebook. We try to be great on podcasts. We try to be great on a blog. We try to be great in this. And you can never be great at everything. There are some things that are to your strength and some things that you aren't. Now, what you can do is as you get money in and you have a little bit of disposable income, well, then you can hire somebody to do all the horrible jobs or the jobs that you're not very good at. You know, if you're happy just making the videos, keep making the videos. But then maybe hire somebody to write your blog posts or maybe a Facebook post. Or maybe get a membership to ChatGPT and get it to create content for you. So it's doing all the horrible jobs that you want to do. So don't think that you need to do it all alone. Don't think you need to do everything. Because in the beginning, if you try to do everything, you're going to get overwhelmed and you're not going to stay consistent. You're going to drop out. And when you do look at the people who we look up to, if you look at their business, you usually find that they are dedicated to maybe only one or maybe two things. Maybe they're podcasting all the time. Maybe they're always putting content on Facebook. Maybe they are a blogger. Maybe they are on YouTube. But it's rare that you actually find those people that we look up to are all over the place. Now, they usually have a team that probably would do the social media, do all the other stuff that they don't want to do. But you usually find the people that we would like to be like are really focused only on one thing, and that's the thing that they're good at. So if you find that there is something you like doing and that you're good at, stick with that. And then over time, as you find that maybe your business could do a little bit more traffic or a little bit more marketing or whatever, well then hire people to do those extra things, or maybe get some AI tools to help you to do it. So you don't need to do it all alone, and you don't need to do everything. Just focus on what you're good at. Another thing I'd say to you as well too is that a lot of people make this mistake of poor marketing. Again, when I think back to some of the people I've had in the past on my email list, they would create low content books. They would create ebooks, and they would do all these different things for Etsy and stuff like that. And I know for a fact, if I put their details into Google, did a search, I wouldn't find them anywhere online. I wouldn't find any mention of them. And I used to say to them, I used to send the odd email out saying like, are you marketing? Does anybody know what you're doing? You know, if somebody heard your name, popped it into Google, what would they find? Would they find you talking about your products, talking about your services, talking about all the things that you do, or would it be just silence? Now, I know for a fact, if you type in my name, Barry J. McDonald, you are going to find a lot of content there. You're probably going to find all my fiction books. You're probably going to find Facebook posts, podcast, probably stuff on Twitter, but you're going to find a lot of content on Google. And that's because I've been involved in a lot of different things over the years. But when I was involved in those things, I had no problems marketing, because the reason I marketed so well on my products and services was because I believed in it. I liked what I did, and I knew that if I was going to help more people, I needed to get my name out there. Again, I think sometimes some of us don't market ourselves because we feel like we're bragging, like we're thumping our chest. You know, who do we think we are to go on to Google today and write a blog post saying, oh, I am brilliant. Oh, I've got this passion business that solves this problem and that problem and that problem. And sometimes you don't do that because it feels like we're, it's our ego that we're just bragging. And sometimes we don't market ourselves. But if you want to be successful, you do need to market yourself. And if you believe in what you do you not think that you should be actually promoting it as often and as many places as you can? Of course you would. Now, if you aren't marketing yourself, I would ask you maybe just to think for a moment. Is the fact of marketing yourself, has it got something to do with your ego? That you don't want to be a bragger? You don't want to be, somebody who is just up on a soapbox looking for attention? If that's how you feel what marketing is, maybe you need to change your thought on it. That really marketing is you getting your products and your services in front of an audience who would love what you have. And then I'd ask you maybe to think about what you're making. Do you really believe in what you're making? Do you believe in the content that you're making? Do you believe in the Facebook posts that you're creating? Do you believe in the ebooks, the digital courses that you create? If you don't believe in what you do, well, do you really think you're going to put your effort into it? Do you really believe that if maybe your product doesn't solve a problem, that maybe you need to relook at it? Because maybe if your heart isn't in what you're doing, well, then what you'd probably need to do is you need to build a business around another passion. Something that you love, something that you could talk about endlessly, and talking about things that you're proud of doing. So I found that people in the past, unfortunately, aren't successful is because they would create all those products in the quiet. They'd have a hard drive full of ebooks, courses, and that's as far as it got, because they wouldn't tell anybody what they were doing. So are you telling anybody what you're doing? Do you believe in what you're doing? And if you do, well then from today onwards, you should be telling the whole world what you're doing, why they should be paying attention to you, why they should be buying your products, and get your name and your face and your words and everything out there. Another mistake I see people making is not building a brand. Now, I don't mean like a huge, one of these multinational brands. I mean you as a brand, because you are a brand. Because right now you are unique. And what I've often said here on this podcast is too many of us actually try and be a copycat or a clone of someone else. And because we're a clone of someone else, we don't stand out. We aren't creating a brand. Now, by me recording videos, in these videos being as raw as I can, probably making mistakes, probably making a fool out of myself, I am, in my own little way, separating myself from everyone else. I'm sure people could say, oh, there's Barry in a video, because they know me, because I record the videos. But in my content, I am me. I'm talking about my life, what I'm doing, my mistakes, but I'm leaning into me to make me a brand, to separate me from everyone else. And that's what you need to think about. You need to think of yourself as a brand. You need to think of ways of making your business stand out because of you. Because really what we are attracted to is people. We're not attracted to buildings, warehouses, factories and all that. We're usually attracted to the people who are running those businesses, who are running those factories, who are at the top of it. So it's always people that we're attracted to. Sometimes you could be maybe attracted to the products, but we're usually attracted to the people, the personality, and what goes on in that business. So the more likable you are, the more human you are, the more unique you are, the more we are going to be attracted to you. So you should, again, try and build a brand about you. Again, this could be a problem for you if you have the previous mistake, which is being afraid to market yourself because you feel, well, I'm just little old me. Who do I think I am to try and build a brand around me? But really, if you believe in what you do, if you believe in you, well, then you should be out here trying to build a brand about you to separate yourself from everyone else so that when someone thinks about a product in a particular niche, you come to mind. It's not all the other people. Somebody thinks to you, well, that's such and such, she's a dog blogger, or he's such and such, he is the expert on Facebook ads. So you need to kind of separate yourself from everyone else by building a brand around you. And then what you need to do is you need to stop focusing on the competition. Again, that's a mistake I see a lot of people making, is focusing on the competition. They're always focusing on the competition. Well, what's the competition doing next? The competition is going to bring me down. I need to compete with the competition. But really, the only person that I need to compete with is me. Because the only one who's going to bring my business down is me. And the reason I can bring my business down is by not showing up, not creating content, not writing blog posts, and not being consistent. So really, the competition isn't going to stop me from making videos. The competition isn't going to stop me from writing my blog posts. The competition isn't going to stop me from creating my digital products. It's going to be me. And if anyone's going to screw up your passion business, it's none of us out here. It's going to be you. It's going to be you because you're probably going to give up too soon. It's going to be you because you're not going to give it your best effort. It's going to be you because you're not going to build a brand about yourself. You're not going to market yourself. It's got nothing to do with the competition. And we stupidly have this belief that it's the competition that we need to compete with. But really, the only person you need to compete with is you. You need to be a better version of yourself tomorrow than you are today. And the more you do that, the better you're going to get at it. The more people is going to be attracted to you. The more money you're going to make. The bigger your business is going to grow because you as a person is improving. If you focus on the competition, like how much competition should you look at? And should you be watching what the competition's doing today? And if he's doing this, well, then you should be doing that. But what if the competition is doing something different over there? Should you go with them, or should you go here, or should you go there? What do? You can go chasing after them, trying to find out what you should be doing next, or you could just bring all your attention back here to you and focus on what you should be doing. So don't get obsessed about the competition. Don't think that the competition is going to bring you down. The only one that's going to bring your business down is you. And if you give the customer what they want, that's all they want. And the more you do that to the more customers that you can, that's going to build a business. That's got nothing to do with the competition. So create good content, create good products, treat your customers well, and they'll come back again and again and again. And as long as you can keep doing that, that is where you need to be focused and forget about the competition. And then finally, the mistake that I touched on a little bit earlier is giving up too soon. I've seen too many people give up on things too soon. And sometimes maybe just giving up too soon and just giving up everything. They just say to themselves, well, I'll never be able to make money online. And they drop out. Or sometimes I've found people giving up too soon on a particular thing. They may try blogging for a week or two, give up on it, and then all of a sudden then they try and become an expert on Facebook, do that for a week or two, give up on it, then maybe try podcasting for a week or two, then give up on that, and then try maybe YouTube for a week or two, and then give up on that. So we've only got 2 weeks of effort in each place. Now, do you really think those 2 weeks of effort is really going to help them build a business? Is it going to make them any money? No. Whereas if someone stuck with something continuously, even for a year, they would see if they could be successful as a blogger or a YouTuber or whatever it is that they're looking to do. So I'm here to tell you that if you keep jumping from one thing to the other, you're never going to build any momentum. You're never going to get going. And every time you go back and try something else, you're back on square one. You have to start off again. You have to build the momentum, and then you drop out, and then you're over here, and then you have to build the momentum, then you drop out, and then you're over to another thing, and then build momentum, and then drop out. And that's very tiring. You can't do that for long. You might try 5 or 6 different things and just throw your hands up and say, I just can't do it. And that's because you've burnt yourself out, putting so much effort into short periods of time where you were never going to get any results back. So if you want to be successful, don't give up. Whatever you are looking to do, give it your best shot. Put your effort into it. Give it as much as you can. So at least in 6 months' time, or a year from now, you can look back and say, well, I can see it wasn't right, but at least I gave it my best shot. Whereas if you give up, you're never going to know. You're never going to know if you would have been good at videos. You're never going to know if your podcast would have taken off. You're never going to know if you could have been huge on YouTube because you've given up. So hopefully these 10 mistakes have pointed at maybe some of the mistakes you're doing right now. And as I said, the less of these mistakes you can make, the better. But I've seen too many people come online trying to make money online, trying to build businesses, and have just flopped for all those different reasons. And I don't want that happening to you as well. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. I hope you've learned a few things from it. If you have, and if you want to share your thoughts with me, please feel free to leave any comments below this video. And as always, have a lovely day. Take care. Bye-bye.